Hello and welcome to the Dr. Elisa Show here on KUHS Denver, the Stream. Thank you for joining me and for your patience. We might be a couple minutes late, but it's worth the wait. How are you doing today? I hope everyone out there is breathing deeply and just getting through the craziness of the times. It is amazing, isn't it? Today's show, as always, I have an amazing guest. I'll get to her in a second, but I want to just give you a couple wonderful reminders about the show. First off, thank you for joining. I'm here because I love your input and I love hearing from you. You can go to the Facebook site, Dr. Elisa Show, and chat with me live while the show is going on. I'll be looking at it and hopefully keeping up with what you're talking about while that's going on. I also want to remind you that this show is spiritually multilingual. So if we say a word that sort of jars, we say God and you want to think universe. Somebody says prayer and you want to think meditation. Somebody said whatever it might be, don't get hung up on the language. We're such a society right now where if you say the wrong word, people accuse you of being like the wrong kind of person. We're multilingual, okay? Just let that flow and let that go. I also want to thank all of you who've signed up for my website, who are reading my blog and commenting. And somebody asked me what I'm selling with my blog, and I'm not selling anything. I'm just writing and hopefully eliciting something from you, maybe a spiritual experience or maybe just a different kind of awareness about the world. Also, thank you to everyone who's been buying the book on Amazon. It is available in Kindle and in paperback, Dark Fire. It's a spiritual, romantic adventure with, a little bit of magic woven in, and it's kind of a fun summer romp. So if you still need a book for the summer, and it feel good, it has maybe an underlying message of healing our lineage wounds, but in a very lovely, fun way. Oh, and there's a vampire in it, so a little bit of everything for everybody. And just especially because we started a little late. Actually, I'm taking a look, and there are people here from Canada and Brazil and Colombia and Indonesia and the Philippines and France and Russia and Germany, from everywhere. Thank you so much for joining me today. So, enough about me. Here's what I want to do. I, more than anything, want to introduce you to my guest. And before I do, let me remind you why I have guests on my show and who I have on. I bring on usually women who inspire me in some way. My tagline is Life on the Loose this year, and you understand that I'm talking about, for some of us, the rules just never work. I joke that I cannot make brownies if I follow the rules on the box, but if I ad lib, they work just fine. So I've never been able to get the basic rules that everybody says work for them to actually work in my life. So I bring on women who inspire that in me, who remind me of that, who maybe look one way but have created a different life, or maybe have either broken the rules or used the rules in a way that works for them, and I'm talking about the rules that, like the business rules and career rules. I'm not talking about like running red lights or messing with money. I'm not talking about that. And here's a woman that I found on the internet, and let me just talk about her for just a very quick minute. She is a business coach. She's going to introduce herself, but I was watching one of her videos, and she said on there, I know you all want the secret. And here's the reality. There is no secret. There's no secret to like getting rich. There's a lot of hard work, but there's no secret. And that grabbed me in that moment. She's a very different kind of business coach, and for me, she's also somebody who is transforming ideas that perhaps we in America, if you're listening in the US, have about women in other countries. So Arjuman, thank you so much for being on the show.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me as your guest. It's my honor and pleasure to be here.
And I know you're in Dubai, and would you say it's 9 o'clock at night?
Yes, absolutely. It is 9/7 right now. It's very precise.
So
yeah.
Thank you. So here's what I'd love. I didn't really introduce you, And what I'd like, we've got a little technology. Okay, wait, this is too high? Hold on, I'm messing with technology. How's that? Okay, it was reverberating. Okay, everybody listening, I'm sorry. There's always a little bit of technology adjustment that has to happen when I'm on the show. Okay, so you've built a career. You're unique in the fact that you actually have a background in marketing and had a whole career and then stepped away from that and opened your own business teaching marketing, right? So you didn't start as a coach and then build a and that's unique for a lot of coaches. Can you just talk about that journey?
Absolutely. Well, when I started, I was a call center executive, right? So, and after that, I moved my career from customer support to sales and marketing, and I've been into the marketing industry for almost like 20 years of my life. And I was really like very tired of, the 9 to 5, and I really wanted to do something different. So I and my husband, when we moved to Dubai, we did work here for quite a bit, like more than a decade. And then we started our own marketing agency. So as a marketing agency, we were a team of call center executives where we had inbound and outbound, sales happening all the time. And at the same time, we had a direct marketing, executives as well. So it was a completely a traditional way of business, which was all about selling, like hardcore selling, cold calling, and all of that stuff, which many people don't like it. Right? But it has a different essence in itself because that's what it's all about. Just imagine the world without selling. How is that going to be? The economy would never move, right?
That's right.
So, so after that, during pandemic, we closed our business. The reason being that Dubai being a tourism hub, and we had most of our clients into the hospitality, health, wellness sector, and because of the pandemic, it was majorly affected. So we did not know until when the lockdown is going to be. Ultimately, when I stayed back home with my kids, I had options to look for online. So I started online, and I really thought that I'm going to go ahead and try a several bunch of online stuff, but I did fail, and I did fail miserably. Like I started with Amazon, FBA, FBM, freelancing, drop shipping. Nothing caught, nothing was working out. Then I started with affiliate marketing just to understand how this online industry works, because I was always thinking that there must be something different which I don't know an online industry works with, right? So I always had the sense of like validating myself in spite of having an amazing experience, which I'm sure many people do have, where they feel like a complete fresher because they are going into something new. So my objective was to learn the business. So I heavily invested in myself, like in the business coaches and stuff like that. So with my experience and with understanding how exactly the organic marketing works without spending a dime on ads, and this is what I coach my clients as well, that without spending dime on ads, there has been a lot of potential on the social media like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. These channels, they already have a built-in traffic. So you don't need to actually spend on ads, and you can utilize the traffic which is already in there, meaning to say the people who are already in there and make multiple 5 figures, 6 figures, and even 7 figure, income online. Yeah. Wow. So when I understood that importance and how it is to work online as an organic marketing without spending time on ads, it was an amazing experience for me. So as my sales and marketing experience with the learning what I did, I started coaching coaches, the people who are basically mindset coaches, life coaches, health and wellness coaches, finance coaches. All of these are mostly my clients. Well, with that said, it's not that I don't work with others. I do have clients who are network marketers, affiliate marketers. So most of them, they want to understand how to position themselves and gain that visibility online so that they can have multiple 5-figure months. And this is what I help my clients achieve.
Wow, there are so many little parts in there that I would love to dig into. Let's just talk. Amazing. That little statement you had in there about validating yourself Do you
Mm-hmm.
find, is that, when people feel like they need yet another certificate or yet another degree or yet another, I don't know, whatever, online class, is that what your clients, do you have to coach your clients in that also?
Well, actually, no. Well, what I tell them is they really don't need any kind of a certificate, a logo, a website,
Mm-hmm.
a funnel, or anything fancy.
Really?
All they need is just to utilize what they know and position themselves so they can, get clients. And the only reason how they can get clients is through their expertise, and that's through the content. And majorly in the online world, what I have seen is like the content does most of the heavy lifting, and most of the coaches they really get stuck like, oh my God, what am I going to post? Oh my God, what am I going to talk about? And actually they don't know how to put all the pieces of puzzle together so they can establish that authority online. So they feel like, okay, they are lost, and they feel like, oh my God, now I don't know how maybe I need another certificate, then I'm going to get clients. Maybe I have a website, then I'm going to get clients. Maybe I need a logo, so I have a branding done, then I'm going to get clients. The fact is, all of this really nobody cares about you as a coach. What people really care about is like what's the end result you can bring to them.
So it's content and I guess context also, right? How
Exactly,
is what
exactly.
you're teaching about me, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and this is something like a limiting belief which we all have.
Uh-huh.
Is like whatever we have in life, we always look for something which we don't have, right? So this is not only in your business, this is always in your life in general. You are never like satisfied with what you have right now. You always feel like there is something which is missing, and if you have this, that's where you are going to have a fulfilled life. The point is, be happy right now in the right moment and utilize what you have right now so you can start attracting more of the abundance.
So there's a philosophical or spiritual side, even, right? To your coaching. Like let's start with, let's get you happy now and feeling fulfilled in life. And now let's build on that. Is that part of your philosophy?
Well, the part of my philosophy has always been like when you are grateful for the right now moment, what you have,
Yes.
you will attract more of it. So, because wherever your focus goes, your attention flows. And Tony Robbins always mentions this, right? Like, you don't need anything external for you to be happy. The happiness is in you. And I think we all know about this as, grown up individuals, but it's just that sometimes we just get carried away with the life, and
Mm-hmm.
then we need that reminder. And that's why I think coaches do a wonderful job when they have mentors, when people have coaches. They always are surrounded with the right people, who can keep on reminding you, because we humans, we are like this, right? We need reminders every single time, although we know what we're supposed to do.
So, I, you're so wise. I mean, like you're a business coach, and yet you're sort of talking psychology and philosophy and life goals. Okay, one of the things you talk about, and you probably kind of skimmed over this already, but that we all want information, or we think. Now, I'm an academic, and I know that academics do this way too much. We give tons and tons of information, but people
Yeah,
aren't really looking for information. One of the things you said is that we need to focus on sort of transformation, right? How do we act
absolutely.
on information? And so, can you just talk about that sort of how you do that, perhaps help people to the transformation, and what we mean by that, as opposed to just tell people more stuff.
Absolutely. Well, if you actually look at it, we are living in an information flooded age where
Mm-hmm.
there is no lack of information. Like, even if you compare to before, like 15 years or 20 years, because of the internet and the technology right now. So people they already know a lot of things, but they don't implement. Why they don't implement is mainly because they don't know what to do with the information, right? So
Mm-hmm.
they don't know how to put the parts of the puzzle together. So probably people read a lot of books. So the knowledge what they have in the books, it is there in the book at that particular time when they have read it. But what is it that they have got in here that matters, right?
Right.
So when they when they understand what is that I have grasped and how can I implement it, that's when they get the transformation. So there is a gap between an information and transformation, and that is the implementation part. So when they start implementing the knowledge what they have, the videos what they are watching, the business what they want to do, if they start implementing, they will get the result. The point is, I have seen in my journey as an entrepreneur, not only in the online space, but even when my traditional business was there, it's always like this, like people know a lot of things, but they don't know how to implement. And when they don't implement, they don't get the transformation. It's as simple as that.
So, do you think, I'm not sure how to ask the question, right? And I'm probably, absolutely, I have lots of information in here, right? What is it that keeps us from knowing how to implement? Do we need a coach? Do we need mentors? Are we afraid that we just don't? Do we think we've implemented? What do you see with your clients?
Well, what I see is one, without even hiring a coach, without even doing anything, if they start implementing step by step, they would still get the result. The point is, either they don't know how to implement it,
Right.
in spite of even understanding what to do, or there are cases where they feel like they need something else more better than what they already know. So they are always looking for that magic pill, a magic formula which can help them level up in their life or scale up their business or get them to the next level. The point is, if you actually read something, you pause it, you implement it, then you understand like what is that which you're missing after you have implemented. Then you go back, you read the next chapter, then you implement it. That's where they can see the transformation. Otherwise, what happens is they read the complete book, but if you actually, or even for that matter, a video, they are watching a series of videos, and when you actually talk about like what is that which they have learned in the first video, they have no knowledge, because we can grasp and we can understand only for a certain duration of time. And it is always said, right, as soon as you are by end of the video, you remember only about 30% of it. And when you implement it, at least, or when you write it, there is something which you can go ahead and execute it. Otherwise, by end of the video, you have hardly like 5% of whatever you have.
Right. As an academic and somebody who's been teaching for years, I understand everything you're saying, right? And of course we teach people to do that. We teach them to read the book and take the test, and it has no relationship to their life. And so then when it comes to being an entrepreneur, which is one reason I'm so impressed with you, you read the books, you took the tests, you got through all that, and yet you realized you still had, there was no secret, there simply was embodying what you had read.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So let's
Absolutely.
pause for a minute, because at this point I think people are thinking, where do I find this woman? So we'll just do a mini commercial. How do people find you? Because you are in Dubai, but your clients are all over the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 95% of my clients are overseas,
Wow.
Yeah, that's true. Well, they can find me on Facebook, Instagram, or even TikTok, and my, handle is Smart Arjuman. That's my name itself. So if they just type Smart Arjuman, they can find me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or even YouTube.
Okay.
So that's the simplest way to find me.
Okay. So let's come back to this. So one of the things you've also talked about, and you kind of mentioned it, but I'm wondering how this links into implementing, is that humans, we, tend to focus on others. We compare ourselves to others. We, that person makes 6 figures, I should make 6 figures, which then I'm not happy because I'm not, whatever it might be. And you talk about, you help people stop focusing on others and focusing on themselves, which is not just about money. But I just want you to talk about that for a minute, that sort of need to self-referral and how you help people with that.
Well, this just to tell you a little bit of a story about this.
Uh-huh.
Why I realized is mainly because when I started online, like I said, I already devalued myself and my experience, and I was like feeling lost in this online world
Mm-hmm.
because there's so much, where everybody is like, posting about their wins, about everything, and that sometimes can literally like lead you to a questioning for yourself, like what is that which they are doing differently which I'm not doing.
Mm-hmm.
The whole point is you are always comparing yourself, like the way I did. Most of the coaches, they do that
Mm-hmm.
as well. They compare themselves way too much with others, and that literally makes them feel bad about themselves. And the moment you start feeling bad about yourself, that's the moment where you literally cannot see what is good in your business, right?
Okay.
Because the energy around you, it's all negative. So when you have this negative energy around you and you start looking at people from not from an inspiring point of view, but from an envious point of view, you feel like, oh, how are they doing which I'm not doing? Is it there some kind of a secret which they have and which I don't have? And when you start looking for secret, for you to understand and for me to realize that, first of all, I'm comparing my 1 month experience to already 3 years or maybe 5 years of
Right.
experience and the work they have put. So there is a huge disconnect in that itself,
Right.
right? Not only that, what happens is if you feel like they are not inspiring you by their story, by their wins, then it's more better for you to unfriend them and to focus on your own business.
Okay.
And focus on
I'm
your
going to
own
ask you to
business.
do a technology thing. Can you turn your mic down a little bit? My technology people here are telling me we're getting a little reverberation, and that
Okay,
it
is that
could
okay
be,
now?
yeah. So so thank you. So, but I love that, right? Like, because again, this is psychology and philosophy and spirituality and yes, money, but you're really talking about our whole life comes into this. We can't just follow somebody who's told us how to make six figures and forget the rest of our life, right? I mean, we have to bring like our I hate to use the word best self. We have to bring a whole self, perhaps, to our work. Would that resonate with what you're talking about?
Absolutely, because first of all, comparison, even if you're as a child, it does more of a harm than of a good. So you can understand that if it is an adult comparison, it's literally, if it's not inspiring you, it's not going to, do any good to you and your life,
Mm-hmm.
for that matter. So that's why I say, like, I always tell my clients, like, just to focus on what you are right now, and then you will get there.
Okay. One of the other things you talk about that I love, and you've mentioned this too, um, is that we don't have to create content. That our lives, our story, can be our content. Um, and a lot of people journal, but how do I start that? How do I look at my own life? How do you get clients to do this and say, I actually have content because of what I've done? How do you get people started with that?
Well, what I always suggest my clients is that, and even for that matter, I walk my walk and I do the same thing as
Mm-hmm.
well. Like when you have so much going on in your life, right? Every single day, you have something which is interesting. Maybe your kids talk about, maybe you
Mm-hmm.
have an experience while talking to somebody online, or you have read something. That itself is a post. And in my content, I always follow a format of a hook, a story, and an offer. So if you actually go back to all my posts and look at
Right.
it, you will find this format in most of my posts, where a hook is something which really grabs the attention of
Mm-hmm.
people. So they scroll the stop and they start reading. And a story is like a connecting story with what the hook is. So the
Uh-huh.
message is communicated via a story.
Mm-hmm.
And then as a business coach, as a marketing person, if you do not sell, if you don't offer what you have, people don't know how they can work with you, right? So then by end of it, the offer doesn't has to be your product or a program or a service what you're offering. It can be as simple as asking for an engagement. It can be as simple as inviting them to a Facebook group or to join the show, like the way which I am here right now,
Right. Yeah.
right?
Right.
So that's something which you help them to take the next step of the process, so they come into your world. So
Okay.
that's a strategy which I use for the content. And basically, I have learned from my coaches is like facts tell and stories sell. So when you represent in a form of a story, whatever message you want to communicate, people connect with you
Yes.
very quick.
So story as
Does that
opposed
make
to,
sense?
yeah, as opposed to simply information, right? That humans connect to storytelling, right? And so that's part of the way we communicate is we tell each other our stories, right?
I actually can't hear you. Your voice is breaking. I'm not sure is that my network or your network.
I'm not sure because I didn't touch anything here, but hopefully, can you hear me now or not?
Well, it's kind of like very slow, like very low volume.
Okay, yeah, I will.
It's okay now. Yeah.
Oh, magic! It just fixed itself. The
Yeah.
internet is tired. So I don't want to take too much of your time. I know we started late. We just have a few more minutes. The thing that is different about the way I hear you talk than so many coaches is you really talk about you're linking this sort of whole life experience into your coaching. You talk
Yes.
about giving, and you say it doesn't have to be money. It can be time. It can be emotion.
Yes.
It can
Yes.
be food. It can be smiling. It can be anything, and that helps us in the other areas of our life.
Yes.
I wonder, is that just a life experience you've had? How did you come to that kind of awareness? Because I think that's unique among coaches.
Oh, well, yeah, actually, this is very simple, right? Even before I became a coach, but even while I was working, I was always into giving, you know. I always have this, like, whatever my earning is, a part of it should go to the charity. And that has come to me from my parents, you know, obviously from my, culture as well. Probably not everyone does follow, but yeah, it is always said that the more you give, there is always abundance for you, you know. So
Right.
this is why I say it really doesn't has to be money. It can be smile, it can be food, it can be clothing, it can be anything which can help others. So I have always believed like in giving is receiving. And if you actually look at our the holy books as well, regardless of whatever religion you are from, they always emphasize on giving,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, that we pick out little bits from all of our holy books and forget some of the basic messages, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm Jewish, and Islam and Judaism are so close together. I mean, they're
Absolutely.
so similar, right?
Mhm.
And that is the big predominant message, right? Is
Mhm.
generosity, and that it's not
Absolutely.
even considered charity. It's simply
Mm.
the right thing to do, right?
Yeah.
So what I'd love to have you, and again, I know you probably have other commitments. I'm just going to keep you for 1 or 2 more minutes.
No problem.
I want you. I know people are going to want to work with you. What kind of clients do you think work best with you?
Well, I do help. Now I'm focusing mainly on coaches. So basically, I help coaches either to start, grow, or scale their business to multiple five-figure months. Right.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is, most of the coaches are like literally stuck between 3 to 5K,
Mm-hmm.
and the reason is mainly because of the visibility, or probably the positioning themselves as an expert in their niche, or probably because of the offer. So there are many things which goes into every single person's business, and until unless you actually have a close look at their business, you don't know like what is that missing puzzle in the
Mhm.
business. So when you ask me a question like who are the best coaches, the best coaches are those who are already in the coaching business and they are looking to grow and scale. So probably they are stuck with one income level and they want to level up, but they don't know like what is that missing in their business. So probably those are kind of the best
Clients
people
for
who I
you.
can help with.
So because you didn't start as a coach, you started as a marketing expert, right? And so
Yeah.
I think that's the other big difference in what you do, that you actually have this very clear idea. I mean, for someone to say, no, it's not your logo, no, it's not your webpage, no, you don't need the you just let's go from what you're doing and make sure that you're positioning yourself. And yet, again, this other big difference that I want to emphasize to everybody listening is your focus on this whole human being, right? That you can't be a good coach. You can't market yourself if you can't find your inner happiness, if you can't find yourself giving to others, right?
Absolutely. You know, I just want to add one more thing over here is like when I started, I really had a similar kind of a thinking like most of them have, where you feel like you need to have a logo, you need to have a branding, you need to have a website, you need to have an email marketing. Well, I realized that the first point is you need to have clients so your business can grow. And when your business is growing, when you are impacting lives, when people are, getting results, that's where doing all of the other things would make sense. Otherwise, your website is dead without traffic. Your email marketing, who are you going to market if you don't have emails at all? You know, and who is going to look at the logo if people don't know who you are, right? So I had this realization after wasting a couple of dollars on my business. And that's why I simplify it for my clients, saying that you can still grow your business with the help of an assistant. As an entrepreneur, it's not just about you doing everything, it's about leveraging the resources which you already have.
Okay. So we've used up your time, but again, how do people find you? And I want everyone listening to understand, one, the woman's amazing, and if you go to her website, there are testimonials, and she works with people all around the world. So how do they find you again, Arjuman?
Well, they can find me on any of my social media handles. That's Smart Arjuman. Yeah, and if you want, I will drop my website. That's basically a funnel, not even a website, where I have all my work, like all my client testimonials. That's it, nothing else. And they can book a call with me if they want my help to grow and scale their business online. Yeah.
Okay, so I will make sure I also post that on my Facebook site and on the radio site and all of that. Is there anything else you feel like you would just love to say to people before you leave us?
Well, the only message what I have is like, whatever you do, don't do it for a short duration of time. I have realized like consistency is a key, regardless of you want to grow your business, you want to lose weight, you want to have a healthy relationship with your partner, you want to have your children to be, understanding what you do. Whatever you do in life, consistency is a key. Doing things once in a while has never got anybody results, and it will never get anybody results. That has been my experience, I mean, honestly.
I absolutely love that, right? I didn't ask you about something else, but I'm just going to tell you something else I love that you've said and that I saw you said, which is that social media fame does not equal money. And so I think that's also where you're talking about consistency. Just because you're famous on social media doesn't mean you're making any money at all. All of the rest of this has to come through.
Absolutely. There are many people who feel like, okay, Instagram influencers, the lifestyle, what they show, the things what they have, it's like kind of very attractive for everyone, and everybody wants to live that lifestyle. But you never know what the other person is going through, right? So 85% of the social media influencers where I have seen, like your social media fame does not equal to your money or the bank balance or any kind of a financial situation. So that's something which we all should be aware of. Yes.
So again, when you talked about focusing on yourself, right? The other person's popularity doesn't mean they're actually having a good life, right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because you see, nobody can see what is happening in your life. People can see only what you show them, isn't it? And whatever they show, it's not necessarily that, there are people who are really sad inside, but they present to be very happy outside. So how can you know that?
That's right. So Arjuman, I want to thank you for being on the show. Frankly, you're so wise. I'm sitting here thinking I should hire you to help me sell my book. And of all the coaches I've met, you're in like my top 2 or maybe top 3 of all, and I've met many. So thank you so much for being on the show, and
Okay.
trust me, I will be posting more information about you. And just so people know, I've seen you on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and
YouTube.
and YouTube. So that's where
Yeah.
people can find you. All right.
Yeah, absolutely. And even I'm on LinkedIn as well.
Okay.
So if anybody wants to find me on LinkedIn, so basically, I'm there on every platform.
You're everywhere. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You have a great rest of your evening, and thank you for
Thank you
joining
so
us all
much.
the way from Dubai.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much, and I wish you good luck. And
You
I'll
too.
talk to you soon.
We
Thank
will
you,
talk
guys.
soon, I'm sure. Bye.
Yeah. Take care. Bye bye.
All right, everyone who's listening, thank you so much. If you just joined me, this is the Dr. Elisa Show on KUHS Denver, the stream. You can you can chat with me. Go to the Facebook site, Dr. Elisa Show, and tell me what you thought of Arjuman, and tell me what you think about anything else going on in the world right now. I'm hoping you enjoyed that. I'll be reposting that on my YouTube site, and Arjuman will be posting that on her YouTube site. And in case you're wondering why I brought a business coach on, and I brought on a couple, there's something about this woman that really speaks to me. And it is that notion that there are no secrets, that every time we try to find the next great thing that's going to bring in our money, the next great experience, the next credential I need, and trust me, I have a lot of credentials, but it'll work. Or perhaps you're someone who has worked with 5 different gurus and gone through their programs, and they've all promised you 6 figures and nothing's working, right? I think what I like about Arjumans, while she's not promising, is that she is saying, look, it takes work, it takes consistency, there is no secret. And in fact, you have to be a whole person for this to work. It's not just focusing on the money. So that's why I brought her on, and because I think that she works really well in my notion of on the loose. If you were watching, and if you were listening, you heard her amazingly lovely voice. If you were watching, you saw her hijab, and as I said, she's in Dubai, and in many ways she blasts away so many of the assumptions that people have in the Americas, or at least the U.S. Let me limit it to what women in other countries can do, or how they're restricted, or how they're limited. And so those are the reasons I brought her on. I think that her message embedded in how one grows a business is a bit unique. I'm not knocking any other business coaches out there. It just happened because I've got a few I love, and you know that. But I just wanted to bring this on. So let me just check. Let me say who else is out there. And again, lots of you from the U.S., but Canada and Thailand and Brazil, Colombia, Indonesia, thank you for joining. The Philippines, thank you for joining. Germany, oh my God, it's people from everywhere are here today. I'm so excited to have you listening. And so let me sort of make sense of some of this that she talked about in this notion of business coaching in my version of On the Loose. One of the things that I have learned, it's taken me a while, but I've learned, as humans, and she sort of mentioned this, humans want clarity. We want certainty. We want to know. What's the future going to bring? And any of you who've been listening for a while, you know me, right? I'm an astrologer. I love crystal balls. I write sort of magical stuff, but I do not predict. There's a big difference in the kind of astrology I use. It's a big difference in the kind of mentoring and coaching. And when I speak and in my writings, I do not predict. Why? Because I know the future is fuzzy. And the future is in motion. And as humans, that drives us crazy. We want certainty. We want to know if we got this degree from this college, that we're going to get this job and have this happy life. We want to know if we work with this business coach and take our life experience and something we're passionate about, that life is going to be good. We want to know what we're passionate about, and half of us don't know that. Here's one of my realities. I'm passionate. I'm a passionate person. I just am. I have a Scorpio rising. But am I passionate only about one thing? No. Will I ever be? Well, it hasn't happened yet. And I'm, closer to the exit than the off-ramp than the on-ramp. So I'm not sure it's going to happen. But I can be passionate about many things. But humans want all of those messages we hear to be truthful. We want to know if it didn't kill us, it made us stronger. Not necessarily. We may have chosen to grow, but just because I didn't die, it didn't mean I'm stronger. We do know some things, right? We can predict sunrise and sunset. We can predict the tides because of the motion of the moon. We can predict the orbits of the planets as long as nothing gets in their way. And don't you find that fascinating? That astrology is based on something predictable out there? But what can't we predict? The stock market. It's based on human emotion. What can't we predict? Free choice. Humans have free choice on this planet. What can't we predict? How we are going to act in any specific situation. And those of you who've faced, and almost all of us have, right, an emergency, a family crisis, an illness, watched an accident happen, have something horrific unfold in your country or your town or your neighborhood, we don't often know how we'll react until we face that. And so we try to build up a safety, a boundary around us, be it our religion or our philosophy or our credentialing or our degrees or the things that we believe and commit to and won't shake from. And somehow we hope that those things bring us certainty, predictability, guarantees. Because, oh my God, we're humans and we want guarantees. I want to know that if I write a book, people are going to read it. And maybe I want some other psychic out there to tell me I'm going to have a bestseller. And the truth is, the future is unfolding. Physics teaches us that. We look through the telescopes and see the distant edges of the universe, which is, has no edges. And we start to realize that life isn't actually always stable. And in fact, if it was stable, it could be stagnant. And stagnant means dead. That it is through change and movement and growth that life happens. That is the experience. It's interesting because Arjuman talked about information doesn't help. Transformation does. How do we get transformation? We implement the information. What does that actually mean for me? It means that people aren't looking, and Joseph Campbell said this, for the meaning of life. We're looking for a meaningful experience. And it is through experience that we can implement information and knowledge. I can read lots of books. I have those of you who know, have been listening, I have a 9-month-old Newfie puppy, 9.5. And I've had dogs, and I've read books, and I've watched videos, and then I got another puppy. Oh my. If you're a parent, you've done the same thing. You've read the books, you listen to the experts, you did, right? And then that baby shows up and you're like, whoa, roller coaster, wild ride. Sometimes they align with the information you've been given, and sometimes they don't. We are human. Life is not predictable. But it can be exciting, and it can elicit from us something we don't even know exists inside us. It can elicit enjoyment in the adventure, enjoyment and excitement in living. It can elicit hope, which is probably one of the most important things that we do have, is a sense of hope that what we're doing helps build a better future. It can elicit kindness. I think we need to work on that a bit more on this planet, if I can just say that. I think we are lacking some kindness. If you agree, why don't you just pop a thumbs up or a yes in the Facebook site? I would love to hear from you. If you are one of my clients, you know my personal secret cell number, and you could text me and give me a yes. Just give me a yes. But yeah, and you know what? It's a little scary. So what do we have to know how to do? We have to know how to adapt. And I mean, I think this is my life story, right? That I was rejected from two of the universities that I have graduate degrees from. They said, no, you can't come here. I said, there's a side door. I shall go through that side door, and I got my degrees. I transitioned from a job to a different job, from a community college to a university at the dean level, and that just does not happen. All of us have done those things. We have looked at the rules that are set in front of us and said, no, I'm not doing that. And one of my basic theories in life is there's really no dead ends. It's just a point in which you're supposed to make a turn or climb a mountain or change your direction or do something. All a dead end says is not this way. It doesn't say no. Well, now maybe death is no, I don't even think death is a dead end. It just says, well, different adventure. But so many times we feel like if I hit a dead end, I did it wrong. No, you didn't wrong. Life just didn't play the way you thought it would, what you invested in. You know, I mean, it's just sort of this amazing thing. If we follow all the rules, we think we get the reward. And I don't even know what reward sometimes we're going for. We see people who make all the mistakes on the planet, that we think things that are inappropriate or wrong, and they do fine. Life is a jumble. It just is. Well, it could be a jungle, but I said jumble. It's a curiosity. It's a puzzle. And we all are doing, at times, the best that we can do with that. And life on the loose is my version of that. That whatever the traditions, traditions are good things, right? A lot of them. As long as we don't believe we are only our traditions. Cultures are lovely, as long as we're open to the other cultures too. There are rules that we should follow. Never steal, right? Don't do that, it's bad. Stop at red lights, that's good. Don't hit pedestrians. I mean, there's a lot of things, rules we should follow. And then there are rules that, you know, aren't going to work for me and may never work for you. Cut your hair to be a successful woman in business. No, thank you. Get rid of those blue streaks in your hair to be a successful coach, mentor. No. You're right. You need to go get an English degree to be a good author. No. What Arjuman was talking about was consistency in anything, right? And also understanding that live your life, find your happiness, do those things. And understand that the content is inside you. And that living your life as a whole person, living that life, not just studying it, reading about it, trying to be better, following a guru, but living fully. That's your message. That's your content. Tell me yes in my Facebook site. Wave at me from one of these countries. It's like amazing to look at this map. Look at Australia out there. Look at New Zealand. Wow. This is like absolutely amazing. And the Middle East is like packed with lots of dots on it there. It's absolutely incredible. Give me a yes. Life, you know, it sounds trite, right? Life is what we make it. Life is a journey. Life is an experience. And we need to be creative in that. And we need to listen to that inner voice. And we need to pay attention to the messages we're getting. And it's confusing and it's difficult, right? We want a bumper sticker. All of us want a bumper sticker that says, do this one thing and life works out. And I have yet to see the bumper sticker. My best advice, get rid of all of them. Those bumper stickers are not going to work. Life is complicated and complex, and that's why it's life. Ecosystems don't exist without complexity. They just don't. And when we try to simplify it to one right answer, one word, one thing, we end up with nothing. We end up simply following in line and not knowing if where we're going is where we want to head, or if it's what works for us. And that's scary. It's really frightening. It's so much more assuring to be part of a group, right? To be part of a club or a belief system or a whatever. And of course we should be part of something. Humans need that. But within that, we also need to know who we are as an individual. And then, here's my biggest suggestion for the week. Could we just stop barking at each other? On the loose is I respect who you are. That's one of my other things, that I believe in self-respect. And I believe in respecting that somebody else has an opinion. I just don't want us barking at each other anymore and yelling at each other. Life on the loose, find who you are. Arjuman's advice about it, I think, was wonderful with that. Now, where am I going to leave you today? Because I'm getting to the end of my time. Here's where I want to leave you. What have I wanted to be forever? What do I know I am inside? I'm an author. What do I know I do? I help people pivot and adapt in a changing world. That's what I do. That's the kind of mentor I am. That's the kind of speaker I am. That's what I help crowds do and individuals do. And in that, I also write like spiritual, mystical stuff, because that's also what I do. Spiritual, mystical stuff. And I use that to also do what Arjuman talked about, that whole life. All of that whole life. So here's my thought for this week for you. Here's what I'd invite you to do. Go to my Facebook site, go to my website, read my blogs. They're just feel-good kind of things, or challenging kind of things, or thoughtful kind of things. I'm not selling anything. Go to my website, please read my blogs. I'm an author. I love it when people read my stuff. I have some Kindle books, always every week I say this. If you go to my website and you sign up and start reading my blogs and you send me a note, I'll send you a free link to a Kindle book from Amazon. You can read my book. My Kindle is, you can share my book. You can do all those things. If you're in a book club and you'd like me to chat about my book via Zoom, let me know. And if you need help adapting, let me know. I do that too. But the message today for you, for each of you listening, is I know it's scary. I know. I know we want assurances. I know. But the truth is the seas are still uncharted. And those maps that say there be monsters here was simply a message. It didn't tell us the world was flat. It told us the world was a bit frightening. And we always had to know how to trim the sails and steer the ship and tack up wind and do all those things. And know that even then there were no guarantees. So, thank you for listening today. Please stay tuned, because the cool jazz is on next, and you've got to stay tuned for amazing music. You can find me at elisarobin.com. Elisa Robin. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, where else am I? Facebook, and I'm trying to figure out TikTok, and maybe we'll do that too. So please find me and tune in. Stay tuned. And most importantly, this week and the next 2 weeks, until I see you again, stay healthy, stay well, stay inspired, and keep living on the loose.